homeless man, Ted Williams.
This is your first dental visit in 20 years. And
over 20 years.
2 decades of oral neglect.
Were you having pains?
I was eating Motrin like they were candy.
The help he needs is free of charge, but will he pay the price?
That's Dr. Grossman's one of his requirements. The people he works on are clean and sober.
I don't want to let anybody down.
Today on The Doctors, we're changing every body, one body at a time.
First, I know you've all heard of Ted Williams. He's the homeless man with the golden voice. Here's his story.
For the better part of 20 years, Ted Williams was on and off the streets. Friends say sometimes mixed up with drugs, alcohol, or even the law. About 5 weeks ago, one driver slowed down and shot this video of Williams.
And we'll be back with more right after these words. When you're listening to nothing but the best of oldies,
By Wednesday afternoon, the clip of Williams had drawn more than 5 million page views.
I'm an ex-radio announcer who has fallen on hard times.
Since this morning, the offers are pouring in. The Cleveland Cavaliers, NFL Films, and MTV, to name just a few.
Would you like to come to Hollywood?
Oh my God. Williams always knew he had a voice. Finally, people are listening.
So remember, we were talking about this story, and I had read about this man in the newspapers, but until you showed me a clip of his voice.
I showed you on my iPhone, and
I was thinking, how good can his voice be? Well, it's amazing.
It's beautiful. It's a beautiful voice.
Yeah. He happens to have, you know, a gift of a voice. There's a gift, but then he still has to work through some issues.
And one of the things that people, I'm sure, noted is that he did receive some of the much-needed interventions that he needed on the Dr. Phil show, but our very own Dr. Sears actually met up with Ted so he could actually get a much-needed dental appointment, and here's what happened.
I'm here at dentist Dr. Jay Grossman's office, and I'm about to meet Ted Williams, the golden voice.
Hi,
how's it going, buddy? Good to see you, man. So how does it feel to get your first dental procedure in how many years?
Over 20.
20 years.
So, Ted, this is called the Panorex. It's going to move around your head. Only takes about 8 seconds, and it's going to show me all of your teeth. So let me tell you what we're looking at. Do you see this dark mark around here? That's an abscess.
It's an infection.
On the upper left, you see these 2 little pieces of teeth? It's a broken tooth. So the top part fell out, but the roots are still stuck. And all the black is decay, so it's infected. Now, my bigger concern is where the bone is that's holding your remaining teeth in place. Right now, you have about 60% bone loss. I wouldn't be surprised if some of these teeth are loose.
Man.
See, now all the white that you see that's at the top of the teeth, this is a buildup of plaque. Okay, and that's underneath it is where the infection is. And there are, I believe, at least 3 teeth that need immediate extractions.
We're talking about a big, major market overall.
A full smile makeover.
I'm right now the poster child for homelessness at this point. And I don't want to have all of this done and have all of this adulation and everything bestowed upon me and to let anybody down. But I'm not getting the work done. I don't want the work done right now.
Ted truly has oral health problems that were addressed in that piece, and we have dentist Dr. Jay Grossman, who examined Ted Williams, in the audience to talk about this, because that's one of the elements you were pointing out, probably a long-standing dental abscess, that if these don't get addressed, that can lead to major problems. But let's talk about the first issue, which is addiction, which can cause major damage to your teeth and to your oral health, correct?
That's correct. Our main concern when we see somebody who's been using drugs, especially like Ted, and the last dental visit was over 20 years ago, I'm looking for decay, I'm looking for periodontal disease, dry mouth, ulcers, and the overall bigger concern is how it might affect his immune system.
Now, is it the drugs that affect the teeth, or is it just the lack of care because they're, you know, not with it?
That's a perfect point. It's actually the combination of both. Certainly, while people are using drugs, the last thing that they're doing is going home and using their toothbrush and flossing twice a day. And of course, their diet usually consists at that point of candy bars, which exacerbates the problem.
Ted has an amazing voice.
And that's
Was there concerns that this would change his voice?
We started talking about that in the office, and that's when I think the first shades of doubt came into his mind, is when you said this might change his voice, right?
Correct. In fact, Jim, you and I chatted before he showed up, and we said, well, what can we expect? And they said, well, on the simple side, maybe it's a cleaning and a whitening and we're done. On the other side, maybe it's a full mouth rehabilitation and extractions. And that's ultimately what he's looking at. I'd be hard-pressed to actually save any of those remaining teeth. And my biggest concern is now we have somebody who'd be fully edentulous, and their voice is going to change appreciably. The last thing I'd want to do is give him, let's say, a removable denture that would change the volume of air in his mouth and possibly change his voice radically.
And for people who are trying to figure out why, when you make a sound, the air from your lungs goes up, rises through your vocal cords, and obviously that's where a lot of his melodious tones are coming from, but then it travels up, out through your mouth, and anywhere along that path can affect your voice.
And your tongue and your nose and your teeth and all the structures in there, it's a big resonating chamber. You change that.
So is there a way to address the medical concerns you have when it comes to his mouth and oral health without maybe taking the drastic measures of possibly changing his voice?
Sure. My biggest concern when I saw him is that there were 3 teeth that needed immediate extractions because they're abscessed, which means his immune system right now is being compromised. So in the ideal world, I wanted to take care of that the day that I saw him. However, he was overwhelmed.
And we are highlighting such an important issue here, and that is poor dental health amongst people who don't have resources or who are homeless. And I want you to tell us about charity Homeless Not Toothless.
Homeless Not Toothless is now celebrating its 20th year. It's a program I started in Brentwood, and I'm thrilled that, you know, now 20 years later, my office alone has done over $2 million worth of pro bono work, and that doesn't count the dozens of my colleagues who've been very, very generous with their time to help participate in actually ending the cycle of homelessness through quality dental care.
Thank you for your help with Ted, but also for what you're doing with Homeless Not Toothless, and thanks for being here today.
Thank you.
Midnight. Well, if you missed anything today, or if you have a question for us, be sure to visit thedoctorstv.com. Thanks so much for joining us, and make today a great day.